So you might have heard of Tutu Toys Marbulous, which houses a lot of marble ones that are not really accessible in the market. However, Marbutopia may be a bit more niche to most of you guys. So in this video, I think it's a good idea to share what I know and have researched about Marbutopia, which happened to be as large as Marbugenius in the past in some Eastern European countries like Russia. First, for some of the basic things, Marbutopia is a series of marble ones that are compatible with Marbulous marble ones like Marbugenius, National Geographic, Mindware, Gold, Milan, and it's still available in very limited storefronts now, such as Taobao and some niche local stores or websites. It's nice to see that you can still get Marbutopia new as compared to Tutu Toys Marbulous, though it is most accessible by buying it used through eBay because there are approximately 2 or 3 new Marbutopia listings every month. I'd also like to group the 103 pieces Fat Brain Toys Super Fun Marble one into Marbutopia marble ones, since it shares the same color scheme and some of the more unique action piece designs with the Marbutopia marble ones. Marbutopia has some very unique marble one piece designs, some not even adapted by the modern Marbulous marble one brands. However, the stability of Marbutopia is kind of inferior to normal Marbulous or neo-Marbulous, such as National Geographic and Milan, regarding the tubes and the bases. From my research, there are 4 types of Marbutopia marble ones, and I'll go through them one by one in this video. They are Primo, Challenger, Sophisticate, and Rod and Roll, respectively. I'll also touch on the new and rare pieces that each marble one includes. The Marbutopia Primo series is the usual marble one product you would expect. It's also the largest Marbutopia collection with 10s and 20s of unique products. Most sets include the usual marble one pieces, including the straight pieces, vertical and horizontal wheels, funnels, and curved tracks. Some include the longer squiggly pieces, the jumps, the old U-turn slides, and small jumps. However, there are some more interesting products that you won't really see in the marble one sets nowadays. There's quite a few glow-in-the-dark Marbutopia Primo sets that only include pieces that glow in the dark, kind of similar to the Marbugenius Space Elevator set, but you'll know that this was released long before Marbugenius did those glow-in-the-dark pieces. Another element that some of these Primo sets include is a rubber motorized elevator, similar to the one I got from the Bouquet France Maxi marble one set. However, this stands a bit shorter. It only lifts marbles up 9 tubes instead of 12 or 13. Despite the shorter length, some sets do include 2 elevators, increasing the height that marbles can go up in a circuit. Another thing to talk about is the Marbutopia Primo marble one sets with this rolling thing on top of the marble one itself, which Marbutopia themselves call this the rolling dumpty. And I think this only serves as a cosmetic purpose with a dumpty thing that can roll down the track somehow, so no marbles will ever traverse this thing. Some smaller Marbutopia Primo sets also include a small jump with a circle catcher at the end of the track. The small jump is quite useful because it's shorter in length when compared to the Mindware or Marbugenius one, but the circle catcher doesn't really do its job well. Regardless, it's a nice little add-on that boosts the fun aspect of the marble one, but sacrifices its stability. Moving on, I'll only talk about some specific Marbutopia Primo sets that are worth noting because there are way too many sets. There's one Marbutopia set that includes these castle theme tracks or add-ons, essentially a cosmetic boost to your straight tracks, and a castle cone add-on for some additional decoration. So nothing too extraordinary here. There's one Marbutopia set that includes 6 funnels, more than the 5 in the widely available Milan 132-piece set, and the same number as the Wanlehui spinning marble one I got earlier in 2024. 6 funnels is the most amount of funnels I see in the Marbulous set, and those 6 funnels are the old version where it is steeper towards the mouth, and that marbles will spin a bit longer than the regular funnels. So this set is quite worth noting for you marble racing enthusiasts. There's quite a few Marbutopia Merry Trails Marble One sets that include all the vintage designs for the long pieces, as well as the old design for the U-turn slide, a jump and catch, which is a bit different in terms of design. The jump extends the length of a long piece, and the catch is kind of like the Marbleworks design. And the split path. Essentially, this Marble One is a condensed version of the Fat Brain Toys Super Fun Marble One, and totally worth getting for you marble nerds, even though it doesn't include the regular and the mini funnel. Lastly, I'll also talk about the Fat Brain Toys Super Fun Marble One, which is a Marbutopia Primo set in disguise. I think this is one of the best Primo sets of them all, since it includes all the long action pieces, excluding the jump from the Merry Trails Marble One, plus it has 2 vintage funnels and 1 mini funnel. Besides, this set is comparatively easy to get when compared to the other Marbutopia Primo sets, since I saw quite a few of those listings in these past couple of months, and I bought one of them, by the way. However, please note that if you want to grab them, be quick, since the last few Fat Brain Toys sets on eBay were sold in like less than 12 hours, so a lot of people want them. Moving on, let's talk about the Challenger series of Marbutopia Marble Ones. These mainly consist of 2 types of marble ones. One includes these wheels that are actually pretty hard to install when compared to the Marble Genius Wheels marble ones, which I'll go over in more depth in a moment. The other type as well, one that I really want to get, and the exact one Questions Marble Race is just unboxed, the Twin Tracks Marble One, that are, I presume, amazing for conducting marble races. First, I'll talk about the Marbutopia Challenger Marble One with the whales. There's a few sets on Google Images that showcase these pieces, but I'll only talk about 2 of them. The small set includes the whales with 2 short rubber elevators, 2 mini funnels, as well as some other interesting pieces like the long squiggly, the horizontal paddle wheel, and the 2 split paths. The larger set also includes the 2 rubber motorized elevators, but with everything else you can possibly imagine, from the 3 funnels, the loop, the split path, plinko, and many long squiggly pieces. As you can see from this image here, the wheels are actually yellow sticks with these blue connectors when detached. And from this example build over here, those wheels should have 3 different lengths, which further complicates the set, and maybe that's why the set is categorized into the Challenger category. To assemble, I think you have to manually slide these connectors onto the 2 sticks to connect them, and repeat this over and over again until all the wheels are assembled. Then you'll have to connect those wheels to those entrance and finish pieces so that it's compatible with the Marbutopia or Marbulous system. A pretty tedious process, to say the least, but so it's not really worth getting these pieces when you can just use the Marble Genius whale sets. But besides this, I think this set is really interesting and worth getting, to say the least, with those 2 elevators and mini funnels. Now let's touch on the Twin Tracks Marble One, a Marble One piece that was not remade with future Marbulous or Marble Genius sets, and its functionality is truly unique in the Marbulous universe. There's quite a couple of sets with these twin tracks that I found, including the smaller 65-piece set, which also includes a wheel and a U-turn slide, the 113-piece set that Christian's Marble Races got, which also includes a 3-way merge piece, and a larger 121-piece set that also includes a rubber motorized elevator, and a colossal 170-piece set that includes 2 elevators, a loop, and a jump. All sets mentioned above include the same 6 types of twin track pieces. There are 2 types of twin track pieces that makes it compatible with the Marbulous system, and that's the opening piece that has an opening kind of like Woolly block, but then the track splits into 2 side-by-side tracks, so it can connect with other twin track pieces. There's also the finished piece that is essentially the opposite of the opening piece, merging the 2 tracks to one, then connecting to other Marbulous pieces. Then there are 2 types of normal twin track pieces, a straight twin track piece and a curved one, where marbles that take the inner bend will have the advantage in the race. The most exciting part of the twin track system are the longer 2 twin tracks pieces, which most sets only include 1 of each piece. One of them is the long yellow ladder twin track piece, which not only acts as a racing piece, since some marbles may traverse the piece faster than others, like a normal small ladder Marble One piece. Marbles also make a satisfying clicking noise when they traverse the piece. The other piece is the red circle squiggly twin track piece that creates an opening between the side-by-side tracks. So this offers a chance for marbles to switch between the inner and outer tracks in the middle, and potentially offering an opportunity for marble collisions to occur. Moving on, as introduced by Christian's Marble Races, there are 3 ways you can connect the twin tracks. It's kind of hard to explain, so bear with me. One is a straight connection, where you can link 2 twin track pieces and maintain the gradient. The other 2 connection pieces introduce the idea of gradients to twin tracks, so you can customize which pieces you want to have a downward slope or upward slope, even though I don't think marbles will have enough momentum to make the upward slope. These connections will allow you to link a downward slope twin track to a horizontal slope twin track, and vice versa. How the connectional pieces introduce slopes mean you can build a long Marble One track with the twin track pieces, and this kind of explains that the twin track system doesn't need those downward track pieces, those ramps from Woolly block. There's also a few connectional pieces, as you can see from this image over here, that lets you build pillars to support long twin track sections of your Marble One. But since I don't own the set and I don't know the true functionality of them, I don't think I'll bother explaining them concisely. Now, let me share my opinion with twin tracks. I actually like them since they help you build insane side-by-side marble races like the Skyway Chase Marble One set. I also like the piece variation, although if I were to add a piece to the twin tracks, I would definitely add a side-by-side mini funnel like the Woolly block funnel, but doubled. I actually think many Marbulous pieces can be remodeled into twin track pieces actually. However, I can see why this Marble One system, the twin track system, has been discontinued, whereas you can still get Woolly Block new. The way that there are 3 ways to connect the twin track pieces together, and the way that you have to use some special pieces to support the twin tracks is quite complex, to say the least, and only buildable if you have sufficient experience with building toys and use the building manual with patience. Also, as mentioned by Christian's Marble Races, the connectors are quite fragile, maybe even more fragile than Woolly Block, and it's easy to be lost somewhere. However, unlike Woolly Block that can still be used even though the connectors between tracks break, when the twin track connector breaks, it can no longer really support the twin tracks. So that's another potential problem to address about these Marbutopia challenge twin track sets. And the pillars included, they're really small pieces, so they can easily get lost. However, twin tracks are not only included in Marbutopia challenge sets, as you will see in a minute. We'll definitely touch on them again when we discuss the other 2 niche types of Marbutopia sets. The next series of the Marbutopia products is the Sophisticate, and starting from here the products will get so rare and unheard of that I don't think they will ever be available on eBay or even some niche online shopping platforms. There are only 2 photos of Marbutopia Sophisticate Marble Ones. One is the 217-piece Citadel Marble One, and the other is the 196-piece Tower Aglow Marble One, both classified by the Marbutopia Sophisticate Level 3. I think there might be products that were grouped into Sophisticate Level 1 or 2, but those may be some long-lost Marble One history. Both of these Marble Ones consist of 2 types of action pieces. One is the Space Odyssey rails, technically an earlier version of the Marble Genius rails that lets you build full-on marble roller coasters, and you can actually see these rails being presented on some of the Tutu Toys Space Odyssey products as well. The other type of action pieces are the twin tracks we just discussed. For the Citadel Marble One, the structure presented on the product is not supported by Marbulous troops. Instead, it is built with these sticks as stands. Consequently, this may not be fully compatible with other Marbutopia or the Marbulous Marble One system. This may only serve as a standalone set, and you may need to own some other parts for this Marble One, like the twin tracks, to be fully compatible with Marbulous. Whereas the Tower Aglow Marble One uses the regular Marbulous stacking tubes and some sticks for additional support. For the twin tracks, the Citadel Marble One has them uniformly in a blue color, so it's hard to see whether the long ladder and the circle squiggly twin tracks were included. But you do get quite a few of those 90-degree turns and straight tracks. It's quite clear that you get all 6 types of twin track pieces in the Tower Aglow Marble One in the primary colors like gold. Back to the Citadel Marble One, I don't really know how the Marble One connects the Space Odyssey section and the twin track section, but it's quite cool to know that these Marble One parts can be connected without using the regular Marbulous stacking concept. Again, I'll conclude my general thoughts about the Marbutopia Sophisticate series judging by these 2 sets. I think it's cool that Marbutopia has these Marble Ones that exclusively include the super rare twin tracks and the basically impossible to get Space Odyssey tracks. But since you have to be quite skilled to build with twin tracks successfully, and I assume you have to be quite skilled to build with Marbulous, you will definitely need to own some other parts for this Marble One it's even harder to grasp building the Space Odyssey tracks. I kinda understand why this Mob 1 did not appeal to younger builders or families at the time. And most of what you can see from Marbutopia on Google are the Primo and Challenger Mob 1s. The last vintage Marbutopia series is the Rod and Roll Mob 1. Again, the products I introduce here are insanely rare and unheard of, so I don't think they will ever be available on eBay or even some niche online shopping platforms. This Rod and Roll Mob 1 series completely departs from the classic Marbulous stacking system. Instead, it uses these rods to support the Mob 1 structure, as from the title. As a consequence, similar to the Citadel Mob 1 in the Sophisticate category, these Mob 1s may not be fully compatible with Marbulous. You may have to own some specific pieces to connect some of the action pieces in these Mob 1s with the Marbulous system. There are 3 Marbutopia 1 and Roll Mob 1s I can find. 2 of them are classified as the Fun Slides Mob 1, which comes in a smaller 116-piece set and a larger 234-piece set. The Fun Slides are the twin tracks Mob 1 marbles can slide down on. However, these Mob 1s contain uniquely the twin tracks, so you basically get a lot of the twin tracks, and you can make an insanely long side-by-side marble race if you own the 234-piece set. The other Rod and Roll Marbutopia set is a bit more interesting, called Musical Steps. Again, the set include the basic twin track pieces, the straight and 90-degree turns. But you also get the starting track piece that allows for 2 openings into the twin track system, which is pretty cool. At the bottom, you get a musical chime for marbles to roll down after traversing the twin tracks, so this may be the most satisfying Mob 1 you'll ever find. Way more impressive than the Marble Genius Light and Sound pieces in my opinion. Same as the Sophisticate series, the Rod and Roll series is amazing to say the least, but the rods and the twin tracks are way more complex to assemble when compared to the regular Marbulous stacking system where you just stack pieces and action pieces on top of one another. Therefore, this Mob 1 series may not have appealed to younger builders or families as much as the simpler Primo and Challenger series did when it was released. Now that I've finished explaining all the vintage Marbutopia Mob 1 history, I'll paste all the Marbutopia product codes I found, so you can explore them in depth if you want to. You may now ask, are there any more recent Marbutopia products? My answer to that question will be yes. After Marbutopia was renamed to Playmine Marbutopia, they now have a newer product category named Rock and Run. Although these Mob 1s are kind of like reskinned, recolored, rebranded versions of the Marbutopia Primo products, some of them are still completely worth getting in my opinion. The colors of the pieces on the Rock and Run products departed from regular Marbulous color scheme of yellow, red, dark blue, and dark green, and into a more pale color scheme like the Marble Genius stunt sets, consisting of yellow, orange, light green, and coral blue. However, despite the Rock and Run products being made more recently, they retain the older action piece design, such as the longer U-turn slides, the funnels with the steeper mouth, the small ladder with more ridges, the vertical paddle wheel design with a constant gradient and ridges, just to name a few. There are 8 smaller sets of the Rock and Run product line, including 4 starter sets from 13 to 16 pieces each. 2 of them, the Whirlpool and the Half-Pipe starter set, I managed to purchase from Taobao. Unfortunately, all of them are completely out of stock now. There are 2 larger Fantasia sets, a 40-piece set and a 68-piece set that include a loop and wear action pieces, including the vertical and horizontal paddle wheels. There's an 80-piece slide and maker set that includes the castle add-ons to the straight pieces, with 4 horizontal paddle wheels and 2 funnels. And finally, there's a 52-piece Boat and Learn set with rails, a small jump, and a freeway merge action piece. There are some other, arguably more interesting Rock and Run Marble Run sets from Marbutopia though. There's a 62-piece pirate theme Marble Run with stickers, a funnel, split path, vertical and horizontal paddle wheel, and a small jump. There's a 90-piece Marble Run that includes a short rubber motorized elevator and some of the rails. However, the rails here look more like the Marble Genius rail sets one, not the 2 sticks with the connectional pieces from the vintage Marbutopia Challenger Marble Runs. Apart from that, this set also includes 2 funnels and a split path. Recently, I have seen this set available new on eBay, so if you want it, go for it. However, be careful here since the set lacks a base, so the whole structure may just fall apart. Into the home stretch, there's a 101-piece spectacular circus Marble Run that looks quite cool since it includes 2 loops, 2 U-turn slides, and a vintage plinko piece towards the top of this example build showcased here. The last Marble Run from the Rock and Roll series is the 200-piece set. That's essentially a larger version of the Fat Brain Toys Super Fun Marble Run, and includes everything that you would imagine. Most notably, you get all the long action pieces, including the 2 loops, the plinko, the long and circle squiggly, and the long straight piece. However, I don't think the set includes the bell for the long squiggly as present in the Fat Brain Toys Marble Run. You get 4 minion funnels, yes, 4 of them, and you also get 4 rear chutes, 2 funnels, 2 U-turn slides, 4 horizontal paddle wheels, and 5 vertical paddle wheels, which, by the way, the vertical paddle wheels are not included in the Fat Brain Toys Super Fun Marble Run. Now for the final question, should you get Marbutopia Marble Runs? I'd say absolutely, especially if you own Marbulous-compatible Marble Runs beforehand. I don't really recommend getting it as your first or as your starter set, and if you're lucky enough and find an eBay listing or a niche website that still sells it for new. The main only flaw for Marbutopia is its flimsy tubes or connectors, but if you have spare tubes from Marble Genius or Mindware lying around, you'll be a-okay. Suppose you disregard the slight issue of stability. In that case, most Marbutopia Marble Runs has introduced above, including the super rare vintage designs of pieces, or even the never before seen pieces. So they are really worth getting in my opinion, and a fabulous add-on to one's existing Marble Run collection.